I'm Plami, and in this episode of Plami's Thoughts On, I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts on the 6th episode of the second and final season of The Walking Dead World Beyond. And wow, was this one quite the eventful episode. It really seems like just like last season, the first half of the season was, for the most part, mostly boring setup episodes with not much interesting shit happening, and the second half really starting to ramp up and give us some really cool stuff. But it's even better in the second half because it's actually giving us the stuff we wanted to see for the whole show. It genuinely feels like they could have cut the show in half and do like only one season, and we wouldn't have lost any important information for the most part. But yeah, this was another really good episode just like last one, and I don't really even know where to begin. With World Beyond, it's really much harder for me to review these episodes because a lot of the time they're really blurring to each other. So it's hard for me to keep up what has happened in each episode, especially now that I had to review episode 4, episode 5, and episode 6 in one sitting. So there might be some crossover in terms of the things that happened in the last few episodes that I'm mentioning here, but I'm sorry about that. So yeah, at the end of last episode, we got Jadis, and we do get quite a lot of Jadis in this episode. We learned that back 6 years ago, which is back when, back in season 9 of the main show of The Walking Dead, once she and Rick took off towards the CRM with the helicopter, apparently afterwards, Huck ended up training Jadis, and is kind of one of the reasons why Jadis is as high ranked of an officer as she is. She's like a senior warranty officer or something, and she's like now in charge of the facility because Kubelik has been called back to the Civic Republic, as I said in last episode. And honestly, she's much more fun to be to have around than I even thought, because of a lot of the time I feel like a lot of people might overrate certain characters when we see them cross over in other stuff, you know. And in this case, I never really was particularly interested in Jadis / Anne / whatever her name is as a character, but she really had quite a lot of gravitas and presence in this episode. You felt kind of threatened by her when you see her talk to Huck, both times that we had her talk to Huck. And it was really great. I really enjoyed it, and I was obviously paying attention to every single thing she said, hoping that we would hear something about Rick. And we did kind of hear something about Rick with the second talk that she had with Huck. She talks about the first time when she got to the CRM, and she explains how she gave the CRM something very valuable, which is why they took her in. And she talks about her community and explains why she was the kind of leader that she was, why they spoke with language that they did, because they kind of had their own language. And she explains that it's because by giving them their unique identity, it brought them closer together and it allowed her to lead them more. And that the reason why everything fell apart for her is because she made the wrong alliances. Which I feel like maybe could be taken also as a bit of a foreshadowing for the future. Who knows? It can be interesting. But I really like that whole conversation and everything. And it seems to be insinuated that she has been sent there to make sure that there are no Moes or something. Because from what I understand, that's what the job of a warranty officer would be. So she seems very much like a Gestapo kind of authority who makes sure that everybody is following the rules of the CRM and is actually on CRM's side, which is kind of cool. And it seems we're gonna get even more. Like, I'm pretty sure we're gonna see her in every single episode to the finale. And there's a lot of shit that I'm curious to see where we're going to go. But talking about whether everybody is on CRM's side, Hope, I just don't understand her, you know? I already talked about it a little bit in, I think it was the last review for last episode, but I just don't understand why she's so much on CRM's side. It's infuriating. As I said in last episode's review, I related to Hope in Season 1 with the kind of rebellious and anti-authority character that she was. I really related to her in that. And to see her fall and be brainwashed by this clearly fascistic military authority just boggles my mind. And it infuriates me because, obviously, again, as I said, in season 1 we had Iris be the gullible one and Hope be the critical thinking one. Now it kind of seems to be the opposite. But it's not really necessarily the opposite, because Iris is still not thinking critically, she's just happens to be right, while Hope is fucking wrong and is not thinking critically about everything. Yes, she's not defending the CRM necessarily, she is more saying that the people who are working, like the scientists, the people, the general populace, doesn't necessarily mean that they are also on CRM side and know what the CRM is doing, but it's just annoying to have her character be the one to care about that stuff. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit. And yes, as I said, I know that this is kind of the development that they let the characters on, but it doesn't make it any less infuriating. But yeah, after the revelations that we got at the end of last episode with the CRM experimenting on the people from Omaha, everybody has a talk with Huck about the information and whether it's real or not, and Leo says that it very much is real, like that is exactly what this means, that they have used the people at Omaha as experimentation. And I think some of the characters ask Huck where the Civic Republic itself is located, although maybe it's not exactly what they asked. I'm not exactly sure, I don't have the time really to go back and check exactly what they say, but I'm pretty sure that's what they ask, and she kind of brushes the question off and leaves. And it's kind of annoying that she doesn't tell them that, because I think it would be interesting to learn a little bit about the location maybe of the Civic Republic, because I'm really curious where it is, because depending on where it's located, it might be for me a little bit too much of a suspension of disbelief kind of moment where I'll just not buy that the location of the Civic Republic is there. And if you're wondering what exactly I mean by that, from what I understand, the Civic Republic is supposed to be located somewhere in the northeast of the USA. And I feel like that just wouldn't make any sense, because Alexandria is also located there. It just wouldn't make any sense for them to not meet this giant ass community with people and a military for the last 10 years, going 12 right now, if we go by the timeline of the main show. But they would get connected with the Commonwealth, which is much further away. But yeah, that's just a tiny ass detail. So in this episode, they decide, obviously, as we saw at the end of last episode, that they're not going to leave, and they're gonna have to stay and figure out exactly what the CRM is doing and maybe potentially stop it. So they decide to send a message to everybody at the perimeter to let them know what is happening, and obviously the dumbass that Iris is doesn't explain to them what they fucking learned. No, she writes a dumbass message that could literally mean anything. Instead of just explaining, hey, the CRM did this, we are gonna try to figure out more and potentially stop them. No, she writes, fuck these motherfuckers, we're gonna destroy this place. Completely forgetting about a lot of things, you know? Completely forgetting the consequences that could happen to themselves and them dying, what could happen to the perimeter. They don't give a shit. She doesn't give a shit, and she sends out that message instead of explaining to them exactly what happened. Which obviously leads to certain events at the perimeter where once everybody reads the message, the council at the perimeter has a vote on whether they're gonna still keep hiding what happened with the fact that they're hiding Elton and Will at this point still, and that they're helping these people take down the CRM. And Indira actually is still very much on their side. She doesn't have a problem with them giving the CRM some help, because they've been essentially living under their boot for 10 years because they've had no other choice. Which is really interesting that she's still taking that stance, considering what we learned about her 2 episodes ago, which is, I think, something that I forgot to mention in the review for episode 4, that we learned in that episode that she uh, uh, she has a kidney problem or something and has to go on dialysis. Which at first we are led to believe that it's her daughter that suffers from that, but no, it's actually her that suffers from that. And obviously Iris and the rest don't know that, so that's why Elton gets a little worried about them taking out the CRM, because that would mean that Asha, who is Indira's daughter, so that's why that's why Elton gets worried that because they don't know what that Indira is sick from that, it could mean that she is going to die as a consequence of them destroying the CRM. So he's a little worried about that. So the council at the perimeter has a vote, and Brody, who is one of the other main heads of that council, who has been also a pretty important character at that community, wants to give them up to the CRM, which is what makes me believe that the event that happened at the end of the episode was his fault, which is really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what's going to happen with the council at the perimeter as a consequence of that, because I'm pretty sure that that's his fault. There's no other reason why they would have him be so adamant to give up Elton and Will to the CRM, other than that. Like, it just has to be as a consequence of that, you know? But again, I really liked how Indira was so adamant was so against the CRM, despite the fact that she benefits from their existence as well. It really makes me like her character more. Like, I liked her right off the bat, but now I really like her. And considering what happened at the end of the episode, I'm really curious where she's going to end up by the end of the season, you know? It could be really fucking interesting. But yeah, what else am I forgetting? Oh yeah, so we switch back to what's happening at the CRM facility with everybody. After having discussions about it, they decide, they wonder whether one of the doctors, the girlfriend that Leo has been with, I mean, since last season she was shown. I didn't care too much about the relationship last season, but this season I've been, for the most part, interested in it. Mainly Leo, I don't really care about her at the end of the day, but he is wondering whether she possibly knows about it, and whether he should tell her about it. That is kind of also something that he was wondering about at the end of last episode. I think before Huck told him about what happened, he was... before Huck told him what was happening about the shady stuff that CRM has been doing, he was going to her to tell her, to talk to her and talk her into leaving with him. So in this episode, they're wondering whether she knows or not. So at one point, when Leo is sitting at his desk looking at his at the documents that we got from Huck last episode, she shows up, and Leo actually has a flashback to a scene that we got in the beginning of the episode of them going on a research trip with the CRM soldiers. And in that flashback, she ended up dropping a lot of her documents on the ground, and it had the exact same symbols as the documents that Hug got. So I'm pretty sure that makes Leo realize that she probably knows more than she lets on. For me personally, I feel like they should realize that she is in the know in regards to that. She knowingly and willingly doing what the CRM has asked her to, and I'm curious whether they're gonna go the redemption route with her or not. But whatever. I personally wouldn't care if she died. I wouldn't mind if, like, Leo got with Indira or something. I think that could be actually kind of interesting, but yeah, I don't know. Even though they still don't even know each other, so that's probably not gonna happen. But whatever. I'm getting a little bit sidetracked. So, in my opinion, that should literally confirm to Leo that she knows about those things. But they still decide to investigate her office and look for through her stuff for more information. They also conclude that if there's something so secretive, it's likely not gonna be in her actual office, but somewhere where you usually wouldn't think that she would be in, which they actually end up finding that place. I personally thought that they were going to be going to that place where she was experimenting on the walkers that we've seen her last season and in this season in some of the episodes. But no, that's not where actually they went, but instead they went in some kind of a freezer room where there's a lot of frozen walkers and some kind of a serum. I really hope that that doesn't end up being like a cure or something, or an explanation of how the zombies came to be. I really hope it's not the serum creating those zombies, because that would be a little bit too Resident Evil-like to me. And I like the Walking Dead universe to stay distinct from other zombie properties. But whatever. But yeah, we actually have a really tense sequence of events here with Huck and Felix sneaking into that place to look for more information. And Huck has to go to a generator, destroy it, so there's no electricity, so Felix can get inside that freezer room to look for stuff. So she goes, there's a big explosion, and he gets inside, he looks for stuff, he sees the aforementioned stuff that I said, but right as he's about to leave, the door locks, so he's stuck in the freezer room. And I was actually wondering whether we would have him die here, because in the trailers, from what I remember, I mean, we obviously we haven't seen much of the second half of the season in those trailers, because it just wouldn't make any sense. But there was only like one other shot of him that we hadn't seen until this point of the season. There was only one shot in which he was held with his arm behind the back and led somewhere by the CRM. So I was wondering whether he would get captured in this freezer room in this episode. He luckily didn't, but it was really cool also for the relationship that he has with Huck, like that kind of friendshipy kind of thing where they were used to be friends but now cannot trust each other because they are on the opposite sides of this conflict. But in that sequence of events, Felix is essentially forced to trust that Huck is going to help him, and she indeed comes in and saves him, luckily before he freezes to death. But it was still cool, and it was still tense because I wasn't sure what they're gonna do with the character, you know? I like Felix, he's one of the more interesting characters, obviously, but yeah, you never know, you know? So she saves him, and she says that she is on their side, that he can trust her. And while he was inside, Felix actually managed to snatch one of those serums, and he's still carrying it with him. In the meantime, we also have a scene with Leo and his girlfriend and his two daughters. They're having a dinner, which is something that was set up earlier in the episode, and it's kind of like supposed to be a distraction for, I think her name is Lila. I should probably go by her name. But it's supposed to be a distraction for Leo's girlfriend, so she's not at her lab, so they can actually look through her stuff, you know. And during that interaction between the characters, Iris, very satisfyingly, I gotta say, keeps poking and kinda double-speaking to Leo's girlfriend about what the CRM has done and about what she's doing, essentially, even though Iris doesn't know that she does what she does. It was really cool to see her essentially be hitting the right spots in that conversation without her knowing that she does that. It was really satisfying because it was like grilling Lila about what she was doing, because I'm pretty sure she feels some level of remorse about what she's doing, but it's also not really clear on which side of the conflict she is right now. She seems pretty adamant to do these kind of things, maybe not necessarily 100% willingly, but she's more willing than she's not, at least from what we've seen of her. So it was a really nice scene, but it led to a somewhat of a cathartic scene for me, where Hope calls out Iris for what she did, because whether it was satisfying to hear or not, it was a very risky thing for Iris to do, essentially almost spelling out that they know what the CRM is doing. And Hope calls her out, saying that she was supposed to be the one. Hope was supposed to be the one to do dumb shit like this, with Iris being the one to call her out on it, not the other side. So even the show is aware how the characters' archetypes are essentially set up to be how they were in season 1, but for some reason are not anymore. And I hope that kind of leads to Hope realizing that she is not this gullible. She's a rebellious, anti-authority person. Why is she so adamant to trust the CRM, or at least to want to help the people inside the CRM? What does she care? It never felt like she cared about this kind of stuff, so that's why it makes me feel like she's brainwashed, and I want her to break out of that brainwashing. But it was a very satisfying scene. Afterwards, though, I thought that she was actually finally, Leo's girlfriend was actually finally going to reveal to him what she was doing. The show kind of made it seem like that's what was gonna happen. I'm pretty sure even Leo himself thought that she was gonna be doing that and telling him about everything. But no, she actually took him to, I think, her parents' grave or something. And I'm gonna fully admit here, I skipped over the backstory part for her. I don't really care about what she said there. From what I understand, she or her parents were part of Big Pharma or whatever. So I guess that's why she's so adamant about creating a virus that cures the zombies or whatever. I skipped over it because I was pissed off by the fact that she didn't reveal to him what she was truly doing, because it felt like the show was actually going to do that. It felt like the character was getting to that cathartic point that they were going to reveal the truth to Leo, making it more easier for him to decide when they're going to leave and everything. But no, the show kinda pulled the rug underneath us in that regard, and that just kind of pissed me off, you know. I think afterwards we had the aforementioned scene between Huck and Jadis, where they kind of talked about Jadis' past and everything, and how Huck might be potentially be, for lack of a better term, under surveillance about and checking whether she has her loyalties in the correct place, because maybe she has been for too long with Leo and Hope and everybody else that she actually doesn't listen to the CRM anymore, which is the truth. So it's kind of cool that Jadis is there for that, to make sure that that's not the case. So yeah, over the course of the episode, for some reason, Will also decides that he's going to get inside the CRM. Why? I don't know. They think he's dead. Why would he want to go there? I thought the whole point of him not going there and only Iris and Felix going there is because they are the only people the CRM is looking for. So why would Will even consider going there? It just doesn't make any sense, because him showing up is gonna jeopardize everything because they are looking for him. So there was that side of the plot, obviously. And at the end of the episode, he's obviously going off and going towards the CRM, and Asha, who is Indira's daughter, is also her brother is also accompanying him. I actually thought he was gonna go inside the CRM with him, which would have been fucking stupid, but I thought that was gonna be the case. And at the end of the episode, he and Will have a little bit of a nice scene between them, which I so thought that something bad was gonna happen there, because for some reason, for me, Asha's brother never felt too trustworthy. He just had that kind of like untrustworthy face. So all that time, I thought something bad was gonna happen. Like, my spider senses were tingling all over the place. And rightly so, because he fucking gets shot. Asha's brother gets fucking shot in the head. And it really fucking shocked me, because I knew something was gonna happen. But once he pulled out a gun of his, which belonged to his father, and he was apparently going to give to Will, I thought that he was actually probably going to end up shooting Will, because the scene is not only a classic Walking Dead scene, like we've seen this kind of a scene in the Walking Dead universe like hundreds of times probably. So it's so predictable in a way. But it didn't go in that direction. Instead, the CRM, out of fucking nowhere, ended up shooting him in the head, which I did not believe, honestly, because this brings so much stuff that I'm really excited to see what's gonna happen with in the perimeter, because this is Indira's son being killed. Once she finds out that he's dead, she's gonna go down. She's not only gonna be full on against the fucking CRM because her son died because of them, but Brody, who is the guy with the white hair, like the old guy with the white hair, who is another council member at the perimeter, I'm pretty sure he fucking ratted them out to the CRM. Because there's otherwise no other reason why the CRM would be looking around like that and end up shooting them. There's no other reason. I'm pretty sure he ratted them out, which is gonna piss off Indira. I can definitely see her killing him. But we'll see whether that's gonna happen or not. But now I think Indira is 100% ready for war with the CRM. She was already on the fence and leaning towards a war with the CRM. But now I'm pretty sure she's full on. Because her son died. And I'm really curious to see how Ash is gonna react to her brother's death. Because, I mean, they were very close. Their brother and sister and everything. So this death, even though it's like a minor character and everything, it's gonna shake a lot of things up, honestly. And I'm curious what's gonna happen with Will, because he's essentially back to square one with running from the CRM after somebody he was friendly with ended up being killed. So I'm curious whether he's gonna back to the perimeter or he's gonna continue to get inside the CRM facility. I don't know, but this was fucking exciting and a really hype ending, if you ask me. I'm really excited to see where the show's gonna go going forward. I'm really excited, especially because we're 4 episodes to the end, so there's not much time for fillers. So every single episode going forward, just like last season, is just gonna be a lot of heavy shit happening, you know. But yeah, I still don't expect too crazy shit to happen, but I'm still pretty excited about it. So yeah. Overall, I think in terms of a rating for this episode, I think I might give it like an 8.6 out of 10. I thought it was a really fucking entertaining episode. Like, for this episode, I definitely did not feel bored or I couldn't care less about everything at all, except, again, in that scene where Leo's girlfriend was sharing her backstory. But that was because I was pissed off at the show kinda doing a fake out, because I wanted her to admit to Leo what she was doing and not to lie to him. It just really pissed me off, because otherwise the plot is already going in the direction that I want, and that just really pissed me off, because I don't care about her backstory. I don't care about being more interested into the character, so don't waste the time for that. Focus on the characters that matter, and maybe have some superficial characters as love interests, but that's it. But yeah, I don't know. I still really enjoy this episode. What else can I say? So yeah, what did you guys think about this episode? Comment down below and let's have a discussion about it. And also, before we end this video, I just want to give a huge shout out to my currently 2 patrons on Patreon, Omari Bridgman and Deadpool. Thank you guys for supporting me through my Patreon. I really appreciate it. I hope you stay over there for a long time. And now, before we end this video, I just want to talk about something to you guys very quickly, which some of you may or may have not noticed before or know about me, that being the fact that I am trans. And yes, this may come as shocking to some of you, because I don't really flaunt it that much on my channel, or at least I feel like I don't. Outside of like my K-pop reactions, which is where I feel like the most comfortable being myself like this. And yeah, I am in fact trans. I'm not necessarily full-on male to female, but I heavily want to transition to being pretty female. I do consider myself more non-binary though, or maybe gender fluid would be the best descriptor as well, because I do have occasional moments where I feel fine being like just a normal guy, but most of the time, like right now, I do feel very dysphoric. And that's why I'm asking you guys for any help that you can give me, because my situation right now, I I don't really see any way outside of you guys' help. Because, and this is gonna be kept short and concise, I live with my parents. They're never going to accept me as a trans person. They just never will. And as a matter of fact, back when I started the YouTube channel, I was actually kind of slightly starting my transition back then, with like starting to grow out my hair. I even got to DIY HRT, but because my parents started noticing certain things, like my behavior had changed a lot and my clothes had changed a lot, I kind of had to stop doing that, because they were constantly nagging me about cutting my hair and just started to kind of be threatening in a certain way, and felt like they were ashamed of me and everything. And that just kind of stress just tired me out to the point where I just gave up. But as dysphoria goes, it just doesn't go away, you know. I still feel like this, and in fact it's somewhat been intensifying again recently, so I just wanted to share this with you guys. And again, I would really appreciate any amount of support you can give me in regards to this, because I just don't see any way out of this. Because even if I moved out of my parents' house and got myself a job and everything, that's just not gonna work for long-term planning, because once I transition, it's like I probably will not be able to get myself a job, because my country is very transphobic. Nobody gives a shit about LGBT people at all. So there's not even much I can do even in terms of transitioning here. So yeah, I don't know. I just would appreciate any amount of support you can give me, be it monetarily or in any way otherwise. And this is not about boosting my channel or anything, or guilt-tripping you with my sob story. I just wanted to get this off my chest and make my subscribers aware of the situation that I am in, and that I would appreciate anything that you guys can help me out with. It would mean literally everything. Like, for example, a friend that I made after starting this YouTube channel, my good friend Yuri, has been helping me out a lot. And I genuinely might have not been here if it wasn't for him showing up and befriending me. So yeah, this just went a little bit longer than I intended, but I would just really appreciate anything you can support me with. That's kind of ultimately what I'm trying to say. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, check out the list in the description to my Twitter if you want to follow me over there, and to my Wattpad where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you don't enjoy my stories, or you simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to Patreon, where you can pledge support and help keep the channel going, help support me so I can keep writing the stories you enjoy. You can also do that by going over to my Ko-fi account, but that is more for like one-time donation kind of thing, so go through whichever website you prefer. Or if you don't want to support me monetarily, that is also fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and especially sharing this video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I think it's pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!